Let's stay with this. Now, remember, after the murder of Uyinene Mrwetyana by a Cape Town postal worker sparked protests last year, government came up with an action plan. The report on the 1.6 billion rand plan to combat gender-based violence was released to the public last month. To discuss it and, of course, what's happening right now, we're joined by the CEO of People Opposed to Women Abuse Power, Mary Makgaba. Mary, thank you very much for being with us. Let's start with Tshegofatso. It's COVID and gatherings aren't allowed. Tabiso did say there were women and ordinary South Africans out on the streets. But are you surprised at the lack of demonstrations this time round?
Thank you so much for having me on SABC. First and most importantly, let me make my indication to say that it's really heartbreaking, very shocking. Really, indeed, we are so disappointed as a nation, as South Africa, especially as a feminist organization, as POWA, people opposing women abuse, to experience the high rate of femicide, which is alarming, particularly when we are still mourning ourselves during this COVID-19 pandemic. It's a double blow to us because as a country, we have been thinking that we are trying to come up with measures to deal with COVID-19, but this kind of incidences, we condemn them as power. So we need to respect the rights of women as a feminist organization. We condemn any form of violence against women. The case of Pule is very, very heartbreaking. And as an organization, our stance, we are saying that we condemn it from any form of violence against women, especially men. The manner in which she was killed, how she was stabbed, and she's heavily pregnant. We are not even talking of one person. She was highly and heavily expectant. So we are so disappointed as a country to see that women in this country are not safe. Women in this country are not protected. Women in this country are not being respected because of socialization and patriarchal lines that most men are still practicing such kind of incidences.
Do you think it's time to come out and demonstrate or respect the rules at this time?
Yes, for instance, because of the COVID-19, remember, we need to organize as people opposing women abuse. We are working with other sister organizations, civil society organizations, community structures, community-based organization, faith-based organization, churches, and so forth to fight gender-based violence, including femicide. But since, as you have already indicated about you talked about the National Strategic Plan, which is quite very interesting, since it was handed over to the President. I think the shift in focus is because of the COVID-19. Some of the things have not yet been implemented. But if we can have effective and proper implementation of the NSP on gender-based violence and femicide, I think it will be very, very, very useful.
Yeah.
Though we still have high challenges that we are facing as a country, particularly with regard to investigation of cases. When a victim reaches SAPS, the victim's rights are being violated. So as an organization, we advocate for the rights of women and we advocate for the rights of victims. So we are still thinking that we need to work hand in hand with government, all the departments. Each department, we need to have an integrated strategy. We need to implement the plan. We are just taking that the National Strategic Plan is the working document. So we need to be consulted, all civil society organizations and all other departments, so that we can start implementing.
But Ms. Makgaba, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there were some interventions. Yeah. Sorry, we lost your sound there. So let me throw the next question, because I understand there were some interventions as part of the Emergency Response Action Plan on Gender Violence and Femicide, and that was between October 2019 and March this year. A report was released about how the money was spent. One of the interventions was on access to justice for victims and survivors. But what you're saying is that not much has changed. Women still find it hard to report cases to police, and cases that lead to prosecutions in the courts as well.
Yeah, let me make this kind of indication to say that victims and survivors do get access to the criminal justice system, but the methodology how they're being helped, the service charge. You go, for instance, in terms of investigation of cases, you find that some of the police members, they still need to be trained. We are not attacking the police, but we are saying that in terms of taking police statements, when victims are opening cases, that's one of the crux of the matter. Because at times, we find that as an organization, we find ourselves fighting for women's rights, but losing cases because of the manner in which some of the statements are being put before they reach courts, which is very, very important.
All right. Very unfortunately, we can't hear you well enough. I had so many questions for you, but thank you for that update and giving us your opinion on what's happening right now. The CEO of People Opposed to Women Abuse Power, Mary Makgaba.